Texas gets its first Big 12 conference win, and it's October, which means it's time for playoff baseball. We're talking all of this and a whole lot more coming up on College Crossfire.
I guess we'll get into it, guys. Always enthusiastic, unbelievable, hard-nosed.
Roll up the sleeves for this one.
This Dallas team was very overrated from the start, like they always are every year.
The talent's there. Kevin Mack, Eric Davis, and Cohen Roach are maybe three of the most talented guys in the team.
Oh, that's an ugly shirt.
Always a pleasure having you on, guys.
Time to freak out.
Good evening and welcome into College Crossfire. I'm your host, Mark Skoll Jr. Glad to have you on your Wednesday night. Let's go ahead and meet our panel. To my left, defending his win from last week, Sean Mapes. Glad to have you back.
Hey, glad to be back. You're not a champion until you defend your title.
You're Marlin, right?
Marlin.
Great to hear. Steve, we're in elite company. Steve Helwick. Are you feeling elite tonight, Steve?
Yes, I am, and it's start of hockey season, which means the Penguins are going on their three-peat quest, so it's an exciting time of the year right now.
Very exciting. And then newbie, Ariea Bastami. First time on the show. How does it feel to be on?
Very excited. Thank you guys for having me.
Great to have you on, Ariea. All right, let's get into it. Texas winning the Ames last week for the first time since getting shut out in 2015, and the Horns prevailed. Texas defeated Iowa State 17-7 and gets its first Big 12 win of this season. Did the Longhorns' performance in Ames make you more or less optimistic about their chances in the Big 12? Sean, we'll start with you.
I think you got to be more optimistic after the game on Thursday, just because strictly on the defensive level, you know, USC could have been a fluke game. San Jose State isn't the best team, but the fact that he went out there and did it again, only holding them to one touchdown, and the only touchdown was on a short field. So I think Texas being able to create all those turnovers on defense, do everything they did to get out with a win in Ames, even though the offense kind of struggled, I'd be optimistic heading into conference play.
The Maryland game is honestly just a blur now. After 3 straight games
in
a row,
sense.
Great defense.
Yeah,
so good point there by Sean. Steve, what about you?
It definitely made me feel more optimistic about Texas's chances of making bowl season this year, but with Oklahoma, TCU, Oklahoma State still in the Big 12, I don't really think they have chances of winning the conference as much. But that defense just performed great. I mean, when you only allow 10 rushing yards on the ground, that's incredible. You forced Jacob Park to throw 3 interceptions, another incredible stat. And this Iowa State team was scoring over 40 points every single game, so the defense did what it needed to do, which is impressive for a defense that gave up 51 against Maryland. But the offense still needs to show a little more promise to be optimistic. You have 17 points in regulation against USC, and then just 17 points again against Iowa State. The offense actually needs to step up in order for me to throw Texas in that TCU, Oklahoma State conversation.
Yeah, I agree with you, Steve. I think especially the run game of the offense needs to step up. I think that's going to help out who's ever going to be quarterback for Texas. Ariea, what say you?
I'm going to have to disagree with my colleagues on this one. I think as great as Texas played against Iowa State in Ames, you know, Jacob Park had all the hype, especially coming after that game in Akron, and we definitely looked like more of a vulnerable team coming in. But afterwards, what I really, really want to emphasize is that Oklahoma and Oklahoma State are both in the top 5 right now. In terms of scoring, Oklahoma is scoring 48 points per game. Oklahoma State is scoring 46. So until that moment that I can really tell that we're going to have that defensive prowess that we had in the last 2 games, then I can be optimistic.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ariea here. He's getting his first points ever on Crossfire.
Let's go.
I'm not going to be optimistic. Texas is 6-1 in Ames. So that's a game that they should be winning. So I'm not going to be optimistic until we see this against Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. All right, guys, moving on. The Texas defense, though, is on a whole new level. In the last 3 games, they've only allowed 3 touchdowns in regulation and have 5 interceptions, 4 of which have been caught by Deshaun Elliott, and they only allowed 10 yards on the ground to Iowa State. The question is this: who do you guys think is the most valuable player on defense right now? Steve, a big proponent of defense wins championships. So who's the defensive MVP for you?
Yes, you just mentioned Deshaun Elliott, and that's probably going to be the common answer here. But if you look at a lot of interception, they're coming because of the pressure. The front 7 of Texas has been very impressive, and there's Malik Jefferson in that heart of the defense. He's not missing tackles this season. He's so much improved from last season. He's looking like his 2015 self again. He's getting sacks. He's getting tackles in the backfield. This is very important for Texas because they're not missing tackles, which is a common theme in Big 12 defenses. And I feel like his pressure, along with the rest of the front front seven is what's really forcing these overthrows. That's what's causing Deshaun Elliott and guys like that to get all these interceptions. Jacob Park just couldn't handle that Texas front seven, and Malik Jefferson was just playing a key role in that the entire night. He's had an incredible season this year, and I think that's one of the reasons Texas's defense is playing at an elite level the past couple games.
Good point, Steve. I think it all starts up front. Especially, I think a guy like Poona Ford needs some love too. He's been really good. Jefferson got 6 tackles and 1 sack against Iowa State, so he's looking really, really good. Ariea, who's your defensive MVP?
You know, I'm going to switch it up a little bit and go a little bit broader. I think the MVPs, if you will, would be the coaching staff. If you think about it, Tom Herman was, when he was in Houston, who was the defensive coordinator? Oh, Todd Orlando. Who was the safety coach? Craig Navarre. Who was the strength and conditioning coach? Yancey McKnight. They were all there, and what did they do? It's like Tom literally said, I have ACL tickets, let's go to Austin. They all brought them together, and now Texas is doing 4.4 yards per play, as well as the simple fact that they have held the last 2 teams to 34 points, 10 of those being in overtime. So I'm going to say it's the coaching mentality.
I like that. I mean, especially after the Maryland game, you're like, oh no, this is the same Texas we've seen the last 4 years, and then it all changes, and I think it starts with the coaching staff. Good point there. What about you?
You kind of touched on it, you as well, Steve. I'm going with Poona Ford. Got to give the big guy some love, like you said. He's really in the middle of the field, causing disruption every play. Rush defense has been really good. You mentioned it. Iowa State, 10 yards all game. Poona Ford, he's 6 foot tall, 300 pounds. Think about that. 6 foot, 300 pounds. That creates a lot of leverage on the offensive line. Low man wins. He's going to be the lowest man in the middle of the field right there. Give me Poona Ford blowing up plays from the middle, causing disruption for the offense, helping get turnovers, helping Deshaun Elliott, helping Chris Boyd.
Sean, you sold me. I really like what Poona Ford's doing this year. He only had 2 tackles against Iowa State, but he's always there in the quarterback's face, and he's the captain of the team. He's the silent leader of the defense, leads by example. I think he's playing great this year. So moving on, Kansas State is coming into town this weekend, and Texas has the chance to go over 500 at this point in the season for the first time since 2013. Kansas State head coach Bill Snyder always seems to have the Wildcats well prepared, and it's his birthday this weekend, so he wants that win. But what does Texas need to do to come out with a win on Saturday? Ariea, getting us started on this one.
I think the biggest thing Texas needs to do is shut down the quarterback play of Jesse Ertz. If they can do that and minimize the wideouts specifically, then I think that we're going to have a really good chance to win. You know, you think about the wideouts in Pringle and Pringle's more specifically than anything. If we can minimize Ertz's play as quarterback and really grind the game down, like I said, 4.4 yards per play, and that's something that we can really emphasize on, then I think we're going to be really, really good.
I honestly think, I really like that point. I think it's the first dual threat quarterback they've faced since the Maryland game. We all know what happened there. So it's definitely a big test to see if they can stop Jesse Ertz this weekend.
Definitely.
Sean?
I'm looking on the other side of the ball. I'm looking at the offense, the rush offense.
Ooh.
You got Tennille Carter. Coach says that he's going to get a little bit more looks this week. He caught that touchdown pass. Look for him to be more of a threat in the run game. And Chris Warren, got to get him involved. Got to get the big guy involved. Big theme today. Getting the big guys involved, getting Chris Warren the ball. There's no reason he shouldn't be getting the ball more. And also, you know who else can run on this team? Sam Ehlinger, backup quarterback.
I like it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a Crossfire episode without asking for Sam Ehlinger to start. Here we are.
I agree. I like that point. I think Sam, I would love to see Sam out there, but the running game has to be key against Kansas State. Steve?
It's about igniting the offense for Texas. This Texas-Kansas State game is a low-scoring game every year, and the only way Texas actually escapes Kansas State, Bill Snyder's tough team filled with walk-ons and community college transfers. I don't know how he does it every year, but he has that incredible defense all the time, and Texas needs to really break through that because Kansas State's going to have this on a low-scoring side defensive battle, and Texas's defense has shown that they can compete with Kansas State's offense. This was a Kansas State offense that scored 7 points against Vanderbilt. A Vanderbilt team that gave up 59 points the very next week. So there's no question that Kansas State's offense is stoppable. It's can Texas penetrate through Kansas State's defense? Can they keep a balanced attack? Can they run the ball more and more? Use their variety of running backs with Chris Warren and Tennille Carter? Can they also work in the passing game? Can Colin Johnson replicate his performance against USC, against Kansas State? These are keys to beating Kansas State because you're not going to beat Kansas State in a low-scoring game. You're going to have to score points to beat a Bill Snyder team.
Steve, I'm going with you on this one only because I think they need to stop the run, or need to get the running game going. I think they need to stop Jesse Ertz. But the offense was a big question mark against Iowa State. And if they need to win, if they want to win, it starts with the entire offense, not just the running game. So, Steve, you're getting the point here. Awesome debate, guys. After the break, we'll discuss which NFL team is the best in Texas. And we've got World Series predictions. That and more coming up next. Welcome back in the College Crossfire, your home for live sports debate on the 40 acres. Let's take a look at the scoreboard. We got ones across the board. Very close game. Good debate here on College Crossfire. All right, guys, let's get into it. Alabama and Clemson are once again atop of the AP rankings, and both schools have had impressive wins this week. No surprise to anybody. Clemson beat Virginia Tech 31-17, and Alabama destroyed Ole Miss 66-3. We've already seen these two teams in the national championship the last 2 seasons, but can anyone dethrone either team, and if so, who? Sean?
Well, these two teams are no doubt the best teams in the nation. Every year, college football feels like we have a very clear 1 and 2, or at least a top group, and a lot of times those teams lose before they ever get to play each other. That's what I think is going to happen here.
Ooh.
3 times in a row. It's going to be hard. Someone's going to mess this up. I'm looking at you, Clemson. Someone's going to mess this up. Someone's going to deny us the three-peat. It might be in conference. It might be in the playoff. If it gets to the playoff, look for OU with Baker Mayfield.
Ooh.
He kind of, especially if they play Bama, that kind of style where he can improvise, move around. Think Johnny Manziel. Think those kind of guys. That's kind of Baker's play style, and I think OU, if it gets there against Bama, they beat him with Trevor Knight. I give OU a chance to beat
Really?
Bama.
I
Yeah.
like that. OU, that'd be
If I had to
interesting.
pick one.
If you had to pick one, I like that. I think Baker Mayfield looked great against Ohio State, and if he can do it, if anyone can do it, Baker can.
Yeah, plant that flag.
Plant that flag, Steve.
As long as Nick Saban's at Alabama, I'm always sold on Alabama. There's no reason not to pick them to go to the championship game. I wasn't originally sold on Clemson with the departure of Deshaun Watson and Kelly Bryant taking over the reins as starting quarterback. But then Clemson just became the first team in college football history to dethrone 3 top 15 teams in the month of September. They beat Louisville, Auburn, Virginia Tech. So this looks like this is going to be the national championship again. I mean, it's a safe bet, even with Clemson not producing the best offense under Kelly Bryant. But then again, Alabama won a title with Jake Coker. But Alabama, but Clemson has shown that they are vulnerable. They beat Auburn 14-6. When they're going against one of these high-powered offenses, think of what Georgia has done lately. If Georgia maybe sneaks into the conversation, or Oklahoma, or even a Penn State with a guy like Saquon Barkley. There's so many talented offenses that I think that might be able to keep up and get through this talented Clemson defense with Dexter Lawrence and Christian Wilkins and anchoring the defensive line. So I think Clemson's a more vulnerable of the two, and I think Clemson and Alabama are in the playoffs, but I think for the first time ever, we're going to get interesting semifinal matchups, especially the one that involves Clemson.
Very interesting. It would be really cool to see 2 SEC teams, Alabama and Georgia. I would love to see Georgia just because Jake Fromm, I'm a big fan of Jake Fromm. I thought he was great in high school. Would love to see him in the playoff as a true freshman. Ariea?
I think the biggest thing, honestly, is the confidence that they're going to have within themselves during the regular season. If you look at Clemson's schedule, they only have one more ranked team in the top 25, which is NC State at 24. You're going to build that confidence and roll, and plus Alabama is projected to win in percentage by 90% in all of their games. Clemson is projected to win by 75+ in all of their games. So I think with that confidence going into the playoffs, it's going to be the trilogy. I want to see it go down. I don't care that they lost Deshaun Watson. I think it's going to happen again. And I think the only team that could possibly beat them is the run game that Saquon Barkley has at Penn State.
Ooh, Saquon Barkley. Steve's a Penn State guy. I'm a big fan of Saquon Barkley, but I'm a bigger fan of Jake Fromm. Would love to see Georgia in the Final Four. And if that happened, I mean, it'd be interesting to see how he does, and especially with that run game with Chubbs. I think that run game's the most dominant part of that offense. So I'm going with Steve on this one. To the NFL we go. The Houston Texans and rookie quarterback Deshaun Watson put on quite a show on Sunday, putting up 57 points against the Tennessee Titans, while the Dallas Cowboys lost a nail-biter to the Los Angeles Rams 35-30. Both teams are sitting at 2-2, but which team is the best in Texas? Steve?
57 points in the NFL doesn't come around too often, and It hasn't happened since 2012 when the Seahawks had 58. But I'm not going to overreact to just one great offensive performance from Deshaun Watson when this Texans team couldn't score to save their life against the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Cincinnati Bengals in the first 2 weeks of the year. Now, this is a Cowboys team that was a 1 seed, nearly made the NFC Championship game, although Dak Prescott's only in his second year, and that's honestly what Deshaun Watson might develop into this year in a guy like Dak Prescott. But with Prescott in his second year, and he has a lot of weapons on his offense, stacked offensive line, I think the Cowboys are currently the better team. My only question with the Cowboys is, can this defense recover from that performance against Denver a couple weeks ago in this performance against Los Angeles? Because Sean Lee, Orlando Scandrick, they need to stay healthy, and Dallas really needs to step up this defense if they want to be a great team. Right now, Houston and Dallas are both good teams. I think Dallas has a slight edge, but none are great.
So Dallas has the higher ceiling, would you say?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I can see that. Ariea?
I would definitely have to agree in terms of Dallas having the higher ceiling. I mean, everyone is so big on Deshaun Watson, and I get it. He's playing an amazing brand of football. But the sample size is so small for Deshaun. I mean, you have Dak, who is the entire season last year, played phenomenally. He's getting more comfortable in the pocket. Zeke is starting to eat again, okay? So all I'm going to say is this. Houston fans, chill. We get it. They're good. But the sample size is small. So give it some time, and then we can see at the end of the season. But for right now, I'm going to have to go with the Cowboys.
Sample size is very small, but he looks very good in that small sample size. Sean, big Texans fan right here.
Yeah, you said Houston fans need to calm down. I'm calm, man. I'm cool. I'm cool, man. I'm cool. But I'm going with the Houston Texans.
Hey.
I'm going with the Texans, and here's why. Their defense is the strength of their team. The offense is the strength of Dallas. And so far, I think Houston's defense has played better than offense for Dallas. And then you go to the weaknesses on both teams. The Dallas defense considered a weakness. Texans offense was considered a weakness. And so far, 57 points. I know it's one game. I know it's one game. No one knows that more than I do. However, we haven't seen that kind of dominant performance from the Dallas defense, which is why having that kind of explosion gives me faith in the offense, gives me faith in Deshaun Watson. I mean, we saw him beat Bama. He's a good guy. He's a good player. Give me the Texans.
Great point there by Sean. I'm really, really impressed with Deshaun Watson. I have been ever since he was at Clemson and played Alabama to the best of his ability in both national championships. He was just amazing, and I think he's the future. And I also think the Texans are better than the Cowboys right now. Defense wins championships. He said it right there. I'm going with Sean here. Sean's getting the point. October is here, and the Fall Classic is finally back. It all started last night when the Yankees beat the Twins 8-4 in the AL wildcard game. We've got the NL wildcard game tonight between the Rockies and the Diamondbacks. D-backs are up 6-4 in the 6th. And the division series starting tomorrow night. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, but what is your World Series prediction? I need a matchup and a winner. Ariea?
I think for me right now, I'm just going to say it. I think the Yankees are going to the World Series.
Oh, my
Let me
goodness.
explain.
Oh.
Teams that are down 3-0 after the first inning, 33 and 110 this season in terms of them losing. The Yankees won. They beat 33 and 110 in terms of that odd. Now, who am I having coming out on the other side? To be honest with you, that's tough. But since the host is here and I'm kind of down, I'm going to say the Cubbies.
Hey.
I'm going to say the Cubbies and the Yankees. Give me the Yanks for the win, though.
Man.
I'm not winning tonight. I'm not winning tonight after that.
No, I really like the Yankees' performance, and especially because they're so good at home. They had the best road record in the American League. So if they can do that, win those home games and just steal one on the road, they could definitely see themselves in the in the World Series. Sean?
Give me the Astros, man. Give me the Astros. They're peaking at the right time. They beat Boston at the end of the season, 3 of the 4 games that they played to end the season, and now they're playing them in the playoffs. Keep that momentum. They beat the Rangers. They scored 10 in every single game. Their offense is peaking at the right time. Verlander, 5-0, 1.06 ERA in 5 starts with the Astros. They got their ace now. Give me the Astros in the American League. I know, Indians, blah. Okay. Give me the Astros. National League, I like the Cubs. I think the Cubs are going to make it. The National League is very even, very even. All the division winners are pretty much equals. They're all stacked. And so that's why I'm just going to go with the Cubs, not just because Mark's here, not just Schwarber's here, but also I've seen them do it before. I like their pitching staff, adding Quintana. Give me the Cubs.
Cubs.
Losing to the Astros.
You guys are trying to play to the host. I do like it, but I'm a little skeptical myself about the Cubs. Steve?
Special things happen in sports when teams have heartbreaking postseason losses. So since we were on the topic of the Cubs, we saw what the Cubs did last year after falling in the NLCS just the year before. And the Indians lost in the most heartbreaking way possible. No titles since 1948. And then you blow a 3-1 lead in the World Series. I mean, look what the Warriors did. They came back and they have that redemption story. And I see that completely with the Indians. And it's what they did in the regular season which really convinced me of this. When you have a 22-game win streak in the sport of baseball, a sport that has more of a luck factor than skill, and winning games is more based on randomness, then the Indians prove to me that they're a great team. And that's such a highly unlikely streak. So is the Dodgers winning 52 out of 61 games. I just think these two teams have set themselves far apart of the rest of baseball, and they're going to meet in the Fall Classic, and the Indians are going to take the title this year. For the first time since 1948, you're going to have the Cubs and then the Indians back-to-back years.
Steve, you know that's a sad fact for you, right? Do you know why? Why the Indians haven't won since 1948. If they do win, the longest streak.
No, it's
in
already the
sports
longest
is
streak.
Arizona
1947.
Cardinals. Oh, maybe. Okay, you're right.
It's already
you're right.
longest streak.
I'm gonna go with you here, Steve, because my personal pick, it's Indians D-backs. I don't have faith in the Cubs. I wish I did, but I think the Indians, they're just so good. With Kluber leading the way, and the pitching rotates. Carrasco's back this year. Ooh, it's gonna be good. Great stuff, guys. That's it for now. We've got rapid fire up next, and you don't want to miss it. Welcome back to College Crossfire. It's heating up here for some rapid fire for those of you watching at home. Each question in rapid fire is worth 2 points, so anyone can still take home the victory. Let's take a look at the scoreboard. We got Sean Mapes with 2, Steve Helwick with 3, Ariea Bastami with 1, but there's still plenty of time left for Ariea to get back in it. All right, guys, here we go. On Sunday, the Los Angeles Chargers lost a home game to the Philadelphia Eagles 26-24, but it didn't look or sound like a home game at all. Listen to this. Did we cut it?
It's just
was filled with Eagle green, and it's been the case for all 3 Chargers home games this season. Not a home field advantage at all. That begs the question, what team has the worst fans in all of sports? It's rapid fire, so anyone can jump in. Worth 2 points.
I mean, you just saw it right there. The Los Angeles Chargers. We don't even know what town they play in. I don't think Los Angeles knows what town they play in. Chargers, worst fans in sports. Kind of the owner's fault, but hey.
So you're going to just take it from the
lie.
question?
Yeah,
okay.
Basically.
What are you looking for in worst fans in sports? I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles fans are famous for booing Santa Claus and throwing snowballs at them. They had a stadium jail in the old Veterans Stadium. You don't see that. You don't see that much intensity. When you go to Lincoln Financial Field, opposing fans can't even wear other teams' jersey. They actually dress undercover cops in opposing teams' jersey, so Eagles fans do not have violent interactions with them. Yes.
Wow.
So. I mean,
that's
it's a scary atmosphere for opponent fan. I mean, they're very passionate, but is that really the sign you want as an opposing fan coming into Lincoln Financial Field?
That's a good point there, Steve. Ariea?
Both of those are great points. Have we ever seen, I don't know, a player fight their own fans? The Detroit Pistons, Malice at the Palace. Are you kidding me? This man swung at him like he was Floyd Mayweather. And this guy's a fan. This guy's watching the Pistons like, yeah, go Pistons. Not you, Artest. And then Artest swung at him.
Is that on the fans or is that on the Pistons?
I'm going to the Pistons 100%.
I'm going with Ariea here. I think the Pistons fans, the Malice at the Palace, that was one crazy game. All right, guys, big news out of the NBA is the changes to the All-Star game. Instead of a West versus East game, 2 captains will be selected and will be able to choose their own team. Still 12 from the East, 12 from the West. Silver said this move was made to make the game more competitive. The question is this: what other changes would you like to see to the All-Star game to make it more interesting?
I mean, you already saw Curry really liked the move on this one. I think the biggest change that would be amazing, one-on-one. Give me KD and give me Russ. Give me some one-on-one. I want to see the Cupcake go at the Brody and have an amazing battle. That's what I'd love to see. One-on-one in the NBA All-Star weekend would be amazing for me.
That would be great. Cupcake versus the Brody. I think that'd be sweet. We'd love to see that in the Western Conference Finals too.
Here's what I'd do. They're going to win money for charity this year. I say this year you just take a WWE move, put the money in the bank above the floor, and whoever wins, you just pop, shoot it all out.
Oh my gosh.
Just poof, everyone gets money. Everyone goes home happy. Save the All-Star game.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's an expensive move, I know.
Very
but-
expensive. But the NBA is making a ton of money.
Yeah, they're doing all right.
They got all those advertisements on the jerseys too.
We already have sort of that one-on-one movement. I mean, you can just do ISO in the All-Star game. That's basically what the All-Star game is anyway. How about we have chain nets, because that would be very cool. And also, players can tweet during the games, because NBA has shown so much on social media this summer. All these players are being so petty. Imagine last year, just like the tweets, if Durant and Westbrook were on different teams, or Kyrie and LeBron, there's so much that could like spark NBA Twitter up, and I just think that'd be cool if they let players just live tweet during the games and just more of an unfiltered version of
That
the
would be
All-Star game.
awesome, especially because Kevin Durant's not the best tweeter around, as we all know.
He's had some trouble.
I'm going with Steve because I'm a big fan of the chain nets. I was a big NBA Street fan growing up, and would love to see the chain nets back. So last question here. It's a little bit different for rapid fire. You get 1 point for each answer. Since the wild card started in 1994, 5 wild card teams went on to win the World Series. One of those teams has won 2. You get 1 point for each wild card World Series winner you can name, and you get 2 points if you can name the wild card team that has won it twice.
San Francisco Giants have won one.
Okay.
St. Louis Cardinals.
Okay.
The Seattle Mariners.
No.
Florida Marlins,
Florida Marlins won 2. That was the 2-1.
97 and 03.
Yeah, the only 2 times they made the playoffs.
So we have Marlins, Cardinals,
I'm blanking.
Giants.
I'm blanking. Why is this happening?
Royals? Do they
No,
win?
they were a wild card team when they lost
made
the
it,
Giants.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
One was in 2004, long streak.
Oh, the Red Sox.
Steve got it first. No. And then the other one, John Lackey played for this team.
Angels.
Angels. Sean got it first, but Steve had the most points at the end. So Steve Helwick is your winner. Congratulations, Steve. Do we have time for FaceTime? We have time for FaceTime. Steve, take it away.
Oh, well, I'm very excited to be here, and coming up soon is basketball season, which I think is my favorite time of the year. So I'm just going to throw out some basketball predictions right now. I am seeing a Warriors-Cavs finals, which is some of the boring finals that we have, but I think this is going to be a very entertaining season. I'm really excited to see what happens, especially with Oklahoma City, Houston, San Antonio. I think who gets that 2 spot in the West might actually be the most interesting part of the finals this year. Obviously, I want to go with the Spurs there, and I do think they have the talent with Kawhi Leonard, and I think LaMarcus Aldridge is going to step up again, so that's what I think.
So you got the Spurs as the number
It's a
2 seed? Okay, I can see that, but I personally, for my own benefit, I want to see OKC. I think that'd be
That's a
sweet.
fun team.
The Brody and the Cupcake. Wouldn't that be sweet? All right, that's it for College Crossfire, guys. Steve Helwick is your champion. Don't miss College Press Box next Monday at 9 o'clock for a recap of all sports news on the 40 Acres. Special thanks to everyone in studio, Master Control, and to you for spending your Wednesday night with us. Until next time, I'm Mark Skoll Jr. Good night.